Hey, what is up, YouTube? My name is Matt Modi. I'm a content producer and betting analyst for OddsJam.com. And in this video, as you can see on the screen here, I'm going to be talking to you about how to make money on PrizePicks. So this video is going to be an educational tutorial on how to use PrizePicks. You know, how does PrizePicks make sense? What is PrizePicks? How does it work? And then, of course, the most important part, what everybody cares about, how to make money on PrizePicks. So I figured the first way to talk to you about how to make money on PrizePicks would be to describe exactly how PrizePicks works. It's pretty simple. You basically choose a player prop. In this case, we're looking at Russell Wilson passing yards, and you choose more or less. That part is pretty simple. You're just choosing a player prop. Do you think the number is going to go higher or lower? With PrizePicks specifically, you need to add more than one entry. So you can add 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously, as you add more entries, the higher the payout is. It can be viewed as essentially a parlay. You are parlaying different player props together. The more that you add together, the higher the payout is. The biggest difference between PrizePicks is it has a fixed rate of what the payout is. So every single 2 player prop entry is going to have the same exact payout. Same thing with 3 legs, 4 legs, 5 legs, 5 legs, whatever the number of legs you are adding to a PrizePicks entry, PrizePicks selection, it's going to have the same payout no matter what, which means is that we can actually deduct what the implied odds are of each individual payout. So that is exactly what I have on the screen here. A 2-leg entry has the implied odds of plus 200, which means that you need to win a 2-leg entry roughly 1/3 of the time in order to break even. Any amount of times you win above, you will be profitable. Obviously, anytime you are below 1/3, you are losing money. For a 3-leg entry, the implied odds are plus 400, which means that you would need to hit roughly 20% of your 3-leg entries in order to break even. Anything above 20% will be profitable. Anything below will not. And then lastly, the implied odds are plus 900. So you would need to win roughly 10% of your 4-leg entries in order to be profitable. So now that we know that the implied odds for each leg entry, what they are for 2, 3, 4 legs, another thing you can do is calculate the implied probability of each individual leg if you're doing a 2-leg, 3-leg, 4-leg, or a 5-pick flex, which is really cool. So the implied odds for a 2-leg entry for the individual leg. So if we're going back to the Russell Wilson one, the implied odds for one Russell Wilson player passing yards going over or under, if you're doing it in a 2-pick entry, is minus 137. As you can see right here, minus 137. For a 3-leg entry, it has the implied odds of minus 141. For a 4-leg, implied odds of minus 128. And for a 5-pick flex, the implied odds of minus 119 for each individual entry. That part is really important. For each individual entry, you can calculate what the implied odds of that player prop is. To break down the math a little bit more, I just pulled this from the calculator on OddsJam.com. There's nothing above where it says Parlay Odds right here, so you don't need to worry about that. But so if I were to wager $20 on a 2-leg parlay at minus 137 each, you see the parlay odds are essentially plus 200. So you would profit $40. You'd get a total payout of 60. Exactly matching this, right, of plus 200. And here's how it looks exactly on PrizePicks. So I have 2 NBA props. I have Joel Embiid going over. I have Jason Tatum going over. We see right here, a $20 entry would win $60. So we would get $20 of our risk back and we would profit $40. So that's how PrizePicks works. Obviously, if I were to add another play here, the payout would be implied odds of plus 400. If I were to add a 4th play, the implied odds of plus 900, as it says right here. But one thing that is really, really important to learn from this screenshot, it really makes no sense to do a 3-leg entry. You should either do 2 or you should do 4 or 5. It makes 0 sense to do 3. So by adding a 3rd play, you are obviously decreasing the likelihood that your entry actually hits, and you have to sacrifice worse implied odds of each individual leg. So it makes 0 sense to do a 3-leg entry on PrizePicks. You should either do 2 or you should do 4 or 5. So that is that is strategy number 1. Never do a 3-leg entry. It doesn't make any sense. But I mentioned how PrizePicks works. Obviously, making money on PrizePicks is the most important part. And the way it works is based on these odds. So what we are looking for in terms of what to add into a PrizePicks selection, we're looking for player props that have an implied odds greater than minus 137 if we are doing a 2-leg, minus 128 if we are doing a 4-leg, or minus 119 if we are doing a 5-leg. Basically, you want to look at the sports books. You want to calculate the implied odds of an individual play. And if the implied odds are higher, so above these numbers, then they would be a good entry to add into one of your selections. So, for example, let's pretend we are looking at the Joel Embiid to go over 26.5 points. And we actually, by looking at all the sports books, the sharp sports books, we actually say, you know what? The implied odds of Joel Embiid going over 26.5 points, it actually is minus 150. Then that would be a good play to add into one of these selections. Even the 3-leg, even though it wouldn't make sense, it would be good to add. But luckily, OddsJam does all that work for you. So how to find good entries? Here is way number one. You go to OddsJam and you go to the positive expected value page. It literally provides opportunities such as this one, where you are getting a positive expected value play on a certain player prop, specifically on PrizePicks. So we see right here, books. This is PrizePicks. We see right here, the no vig odds of essentially minus 138. So this would be good to add in every single entry except for a 3-leg one, because we see the implied odds of minus 138. Now, you're probably wondering, what the heck does this mean? No vig odds, implied odds. So basically, the way it works is OddsJam has collected thousands and thousands of data points in terms of betting opportunities. The goal of collecting all this data is to determine what sportsbooks do the best job at pricing odds. What sportsbooks are the sharpest in terms of pricing odds, right? They collected all this data and came to that conclusion. Once they came to that conclusion and that determination has been made, they remove the VIG from all of those different sharp sportsbooks to give you the true line of what a market should truly be priced at. In this case, for this Tobias Harris prop, it is minus 138, which is really cool because you're basically saying that we actually think that this player prop should be priced at minus 138, but now that we know what the implied odds of a PrizePicks entry are, we know that it's a favorable prop to add Tobias Harris to one of your selections. So another way you can think of no vig odds and more favorable odds and stuff like that. Let's pretend that like all of the smartest stock market exchanges, like, the New York Stock Exchange prices Facebook stock at $300. They say, we're trading it at $300. Now let's pretend that some random exchange, you can buy Facebook stock at $280. You should make that selection. You should buy that stock because you know that it really should be priced at $300. So right off the bat, you're making the $20 difference on however many shares of stock that you buy. It's the same thing with sports betting. The smartest sports books in the world are telling you this should be priced at minus 138. The implied odds of a PrizePicks 5-entry selection are minus 119. A 2-leg one is minus 137. Either way, this is a good selection to add to one of your PrizePicks entries. But in general, using OddsJam, using the positive expected value page is a really easy way to identify what the good ones are. It does all the work for you. You literally just see it on the screen here. Now, there's another way in which you can find a good entry using OddsJam that is actually completely free, but it does require you to do a little bit of work. So let me share my screen here. So we see right here, we're looking at the player passing yards prop. This is for a Broncos game, player passing yards. And I'll move my camera over because what we can also see right here is PrizePicks. So basically the screenshot here is telling you what every sportsbook is pricing the Russell Wilson passing yards prop at. We see that it ranges all the way from 230 all the way down to 236. Now, right off the bat, one thing I want to tell you, the two of the sharpest sportsbooks in the world in terms of pricing odds, BetOnline and Pinnacle. Those are the two smartest. We see this screenshot here. Look at what PrizePicks is having Russell Wilson's passing yards prop at, 230.5. Now look at what the two sharpest sportsbooks in the world price his passing yards prop at, 236.5. Not only do they price his player passing yards prop 6 yards higher than what PrizePicks does, they are also favoring it to go over, which is just insane. Pinnacle prices the over 123. They price the under at minus 107. They have the over as the more likely scenario. Same thing with Bet Online. They price the over at minus 119, the under at minus 109, favoring the over, telling you that it's more likely. They think that it's more likely that Russell Wilson goes over his 236.5 yards passing prop, and you can get that at a full 6 yards lower on PrizePicks. So there are two ways to find profitable entries to add in a PrizePicks selection. Number one, positive expected value. You literally just go to OddsJam positive expected value. You can filter the sportsbooks specifically for PrizePicks. When you do that, it does all the work for you. You don't even need to think. If you want to think a little bit and you have to do a little bit more work, then you just line shop. You let all of the sportsbooks do the work for you. You say, wow, PrizePicks has it at 230. All of the other sportsbooks have it above this number. Or in PointsBet, it's the only one that does price it at 230.5. But look, they heavily favor the over. So all of these sportsbooks are saying that Russell Wilson is going, we have his over-under priced at a higher number than what PrizePicks is giving you. And they have him going over as the more likely scenario, which is just insane. So right off the bat, you would have found two PrizePick entries to add to a selection. You could have just right there made your two-leg entry, and it would have been a profitable one over time. So that is how you can make money on PrizePicks. Hopefully the video made sense. If it did, let us know in the comments that I did a great job. Helps me out a ton. If it didn't make sense, that's also fine. Let us know in the comments what you're confused about. You can also send us an email, contact@oddsjam.com. But again, hopefully it did make sense. Hopefully you are now ready to start using PrizePicks and you are ready to start making money off of it. And that's all I got. So I appreciate you guys watching and have a good one.